Hey guys, it's me Dory. Today, I'm finally going to go through my art book collection. I was initially hesitant to work on this video for quite some time since my collection is pretty hefty, and you know me, I really like to ramble. But I found a solution, which is to split up my collection into several separate videos. This way, I have a few different parts to show off instead of just having one unnecessarily long video. I wasn't sure where to start, but finally settled on my Clamp art books first. Now, some art books in the series I have shown off before and will show off again. Like the Cardcaptor Sakura art books were featured in my Cardcaptor Sakura collection video and will appear later in the Magical Girl art books video. But I'll do my best not to spend too much time on those segments while also showing them off just enough for people who haven't seen the other videos. Anyway, Clamp has been there for me since the beginning of my collection with Cardcaptor Sakura, and I've been a dedicated follower of their works for years now. Clamp is also special in that so many of their works are beloved instead of them only having one main breakout hit that they're known for, which many of these art books illustrate. They have a very extensive art book collection to match, and I only have a small portion of that, but just enough that I feel is worth showing off. There are still a few that I wish to own that I don't have. Like, the only English one I'm missing is the Chobits one, and I'm still missing a few of the Cardcaptor Sakura ones. A heavy crime, I know. But I have many art books I'm still in the process of collecting, so in due time, they shall all be mine. Anyway, before I ramble on any more like I enjoy doing so much, let's take a look at the beautiful works of Clamp. First, I'm going to quickly show off Clamp's Magical Girl art books I have, since I will be going through these more extensively in the Magical Girl art books video. Even though Cardcaptor Sakura is one of the most popular and well-known Magical Girl series, Clamp's other Magical Girl series, Magic Knight Rayearth, actually came first. It's also one of the defining shoujo isekai of the 90s, along with Fushigi Yugi and Red River. I only have the first Rayearth art book, as I only have the first box set, but I'm hoping to manage to find the second box set at a good price someday. And Cardcaptor Sakura, I'll probably say for the 100th time, is one of my all-time favorite series, so I look at these particular art books quite often. I won't flip through them here, as I'll save that for the Magical Girl art book video, but I will find one piece of artwork from each book to show off here real quick. Here's a really good 2-page spread for Rayearth, and I really love the use of the red and maroon background color, and I would say this is probably one of my favorite pieces from this art book. Here's one of my favorite 2-page spreads from the first art of Cardcaptor Sakura, and Clamp uses a lot of these shooting star motifs that kind of look like ribbons, I would say, is probably the best way to describe them. But wings is definitely a defining characteristic of Cardcaptor Sakura art for sure, so the use of pastel color on the shooting stars contrasts really nicely with the white of Sakura's dress. I really like the egg designs that they use specifically for this particular outfit, which is the outfit that was prominently shown off in the second Cardcaptor Sakura opening. And I may have mentioned before, but I do love artwork of characters placed inside, usually glass objects like bottles or, in this instance, this clear egg design. So some of my favorite artwork in the art books for sure. This one being placed in the second art of Cardcaptor Sakura, if I didn't mention that one at the beginning. This one is featured in the third art of Cardcaptor Sakura book, and this is actually the picture that is used as the cover page for the final chapter in the original Cardcaptor series. So I believe it is the picture in this book that is definitely most worth showing off, and the most sentimental, definitely for me, as I've read the last chapter of Cardcaptor Sakura I don't even know how many times. Another picture that shows off the wings prominently, this time in a transparent state, and the use of the dark red ribbon is just gorgeous. I love it. Now, the 20th anniversary art book doesn't really have any new artwork that wasn't already featured in previous Cardcaptor Sakura art books, so I just found a random page to show off. And I do really like these double pictures that they implement a lot in Cardcaptor Sakura, with this one having a day and night theme. And I love Sakura and Tomoyo's outfit in the night scheme. So yeah, that's it for these art books here. And if you would like to see more from the Magical Girl art books, then I hope you will anticipate my next video that will include these and many more. The other Clamp series art book I have is the English version of Tsubasa Album Day Reproductions. There is a volume 2, but it didn't get an English release, unfortunately. I also saw while looking into all of Clamp's art books that apparently there is also another art book for Tsubasa called Illustration Chronicle that I just learned existed. So I don't know if that is a new book that combines the first 2 album art books or not, but I will have to add that to the wish list at some point. So let's go ahead and take a peek here. I'll just go ahead and show off a couple of my favorite artworks in this book. Here's a 2-page spread here of Fi, probably one of my favorite characters in Tsubasa. Here's the lovely Princess Sakura. The picture on the right here, I've always loved their use of cages to contain each of the memory feathers, which they use a lot in artwork. And the cages don't have to be so detailed. I know as an artist that sometimes you'll make an intricate, detailed design of something that you just keep going, and then the next thing you know, the finished product is way more detailed than you were intending. I always really enjoy pics that include the 4 main characters here, but I really just have to point out that I love this close-up picture of Sakura on the left here. Here's an absolutely stunningly gorgeous picture of Chi here. And one thing to know about me is I really, really, really love water designs or water, underwater aesthetics, anything like that. Usually, always, some of my favorite pieces of artwork include water. Here's a gorgeous 2-page spread of all 4 main characters. I guess 5 if you include Makona. Can't forget Makona. But yet again, another picture that defines the cages that the feathers are usually put in. Here's the last picture of the art book here, but I also wanted to point out that if you have the English version, you'll also get a translated version of one of the World of the Untold Story chapters. Tsubasa is a series I'm very nostalgic for, as it's one of the first series I ever owned back when it was first released in 2004. When I do get an urge to look through this art book again, I spend so much time staring at all the fine details of the outfits, which is really easy to do for any Clamp series, really. And yeah, hopefully someday I'll be able to pick up the other Tsubasa art books in the collection. So we'll move on to the next ones here. Next, I have the English editions of Northside and Southside, released when Tokyopop had a stronghold over most of Clamp's properties, although Viz did have X somehow. Now, the reason I specify the English editions is that even though it's an art book, there are usually author's notes included, usually about each individual piece, and I love reading those. Sometimes they also include special manga chapters exclusively for the art books as well, so I like to collect all the English versions I can when they're available. These books feature various pieces of Clamp artwork from all of their works throughout the years, obviously including some that didn't get English releases, like Rex, for example. There is also a picture of a girl taking off her top with exposed breasts, and it's one of my favorite pics solely for the fact that the author's note claims that they love this pic because they enjoy boobs, and I just love it. Ecchi elements are nearly non-existent in their works. I honestly think Miyuki-chan exists because they wanted a short, fun series to be ecchi for no real reason. So it's nice to hear they enjoy drawing them, but not plastering them all over their series if they don't need it. Honestly, Yuko from XXX Holic is all the sexiness I need from a Clamp series, but all of their grown women, and even characters like adult Ashura, are beautiful in just the right ways, and their artwork displays that without having to be explicit, which I just love. And I'm not saying that to knock ecchi. I own plenty of ecchi series myself, but many series can honestly be better recommended without ecchi elements, so Clamp avoiding that nearly altogether makes it easy for just about anyone to enjoy their works. So yeah, I'll go ahead and show off a few pieces from each of these. So here's some artwork from Clover, a very interesting series of theirs, I guess I should say. And this one is full of detailed steampunk designs. It's always just nice to see that so many of their series had different motifs that they focused on, and that pretty much any piece of artwork that they did for that, they turned it up to 11 big time, which I can appreciate, showing off just how wide a range of details they could display. Here's The Legend of Chun Hyang, which was only a 1-volume series, but they still went and produced several pieces of artwork for it, and this one right here is just absolutely gorgeous. Here's some what would be considered Clamp in Wonderland art, which is where they just took all their main characters from each of their series at the time and threw them all together into one big picture. Now, if you may notice, this one actually features a character that isn't from Clamp Artworks, from JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. And one thing to know about Clamp is that they actually are huge fans of JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, and I believe also spent a lot of time doing doujinshi for the series as well, as Clamp initially started out as a doujinshi circle. Doujinshi circle, that's so hard to say. And as far as I'm aware, they're pretty friendly with the author Araki himself, so here's another piece I just had to show off. Look at all the cute girls! And Ashura as well, as I will point out since I believe they never had an established gender. And here's another crossover picture to show off. I really like the use of the black and yellow colors in this one. But it also has Sakura in it. Look at her, she's so cute! Now, I can't actually show off the picture for this one, because I don't want it to get flagged or anything. But I just wanted to show off the specific picture I was talking about earlier, in relation to boobs, which we love that for them. And yeah, that's the rest of North Side here, so let's move on to South Side. I really like this picture on the left here from Clamp School Detectives. A series I never really finished, but I don't remember being too fond of the first volume that I did read. But doesn't mean I can't appreciate the art. Here's some pictures from Suki, which is a series I didn't really care too much for the art style for, and it was a very simple series, so there's not really too much to say in terms of the art, but I do like these ephemeral seeming pictures here, I guess. So probably the best one that I care to show off here. So here's a picture here from their series Rex, I believe, and every single time I see these pictures, that thing is definitely a Charmander. Am I tripping? Which is hilarious because I think the series came out actually before Pokemon, which I know Charmander is just based off of a salamander, but I mean, that design is eerily close. Here's Miyuki-chan in Wonderland, which I gotta be honest, I spent a lot of time staring at the art for this series. Because even though the series was really bizarre and very short, you could definitely tell that Clamp had a lot of fun making it. And I think that definitely shows off most in their color artwork for the series, which actually a lot of it was included in the initial volume. At least in the Tokyo Pop version I have, it includes pretty much all of this artwork. Of course, in a much smaller size, so it's a lot better to appreciate in an art book as big as this. Just another piece of Miyuki-chan in Wonderland artwork that I adore. And here's the last piece of artwork I'll show off for South Side here, from Shirahime Shio, a one-shot that I actually haven't read, unfortunately. Their use of colors and artwork is always phenomenal to look at, but even simple black and white and red ones like this pop all the more. And yeah, that'll be it for North Side and South Side here, so let's see what's next here. Here is All About Clamp, a very interesting book I came across at the only anime convention I've been able to attend several years ago. This is considered an art book, but is more of a very in-depth look at most of Clamp's works. It's in Japanese only, but I would assume that there are notes about the series and characters with comments from Clamp themselves. It also interestingly features many, if not all, of Clamp's animated works, included in the Japanese magazine New Type. Another feature of this book seems to be a short continuation of X, which takes up a good portion in the middle of the book. Now, I have not read X, so I can't comment too thoroughly on what this is, but considering the 18.5 subtitle and the updated art style, seeming to be penned in 2009, that's really my best guess. There are also 2 very short Clamp in Wonderland chapters throughout, and yeah, I'll just show you a couple pages here to show you what it's all about. So yeah, here's the very beginning of the book here, which shows off Kobato, which I believe was their latest series to be released up to this point. And I'll just flip a couple pages here to show you what is kind of included in the rest of this book. Next here is Man of Many Faces, which is one of their very first published series. I think I get kind of confused if this one came first or RG Veda, but regardless. So it basically just shows off random artwork. And then you see there's all these notes off to the side. This one down here says story, so I'm assuming it's just a synopsis of the series, which I believe is only 2 volumes, and just other little notes that unfortunately I cannot read. And then next here is Clamp School Detectives. And yeah, the rest just kind of goes on from there. So let's skip ahead to the next part here. I just wanted to stop right here at this Chobits part real quick. Unfortunately, as I mentioned, I don't have the Chobits art book, which is such a shame because I think Chi is overall one of my favorite Clamp characters, and as many detailed dresses and outfits and everything else they put her in throughout the series, I imagine the art book is just absolutely gorgeous, and an absolute top-tier must-have for my collection eventually. So there's also a couple random pages in here which seem to show off other artists and other pieces of artwork that they contribute for this book, and maybe some of their commentary about Clamp. Like I said, I can't read it, although I do know for like 1,000,000% positive that the one on the left is from Nobuyuki Fukumoto of Kaiji and Akagi fame, because like if you don't recognize that artwork at a glance, then you've never heard of those series. That's all I can say. So I won't go through all of them, but just something I wanted to point out. And here seems to be where there's a specific spotlight on Clamp art under this Clamp graffiti section. A lot of these come up under new type art, so these are probably art pieces that they specifically drew to be included in New Type magazine. And some that they drew specifically for covers for New Type magazine. And here just shows off a couple of the New Type articles themselves. And these specifically seem to be for Clamp's anime series, that yet again were also featured in New Type magazine. So here's just a few pages of those. A lot of them prominently featuring Cardcaptor Sakura, which makes sense as it's their Golden Child series. Here's the first Clamp in Wonderland comic in this book, which seems to feature Kobato and XXX Holic. Now here is the middle of the book that I mentioned earlier. It seems that this book is split into two parts, showing off all of Clamp's series, and then the middle is specifically made up of this X additional chapter, it seems. And yeah, if you've never heard of this, well, here you go. So of course there's no need for me to show off the whole thing, and I'm assuming this chapter is probably translated somewhere online. But yeah, this All About Clamp book seems to be where this chapter originates. And like I said, I don't know anything about X, so I can't comment any further on it. But yeah, for you X fans, this one's for you. And then at the end here, just a troll, you see that it says X 18.5 to be continued. So yeah, don't know what else to say about that one. So good luck, X fans. Here's just some additional artwork here, introducing the next part of the book. So yeah, from this point, there isn't really too much else to show off that I haven't shown off in the first part. The second part is basically just the same as the first part, just obviously different series. So yeah, that's probably all I'll show off here from All About Clamp, although I do want to say real quick that in regards to the X portion taking up the middle of the book, this is how much the middle of the book takes up. And that's probably why it's considered 18.5, because I guarantee this is about 100 pages right here of content. Also, here's a picture of the backside of the book, which also seems to include newer artwork. So it's honestly just fascinating to me that as much as X seems to be a very important series to them, that they just won't finish it? Who knows what Clamp's doing nowadays? How many series do they have on hiatus at this point? Like 5? But anyway. But overall, if you're a Clamp fan, this book is basically a must-have, even if you can't read it. It's a very thick book, and that really shows off just how extensive their works are, and was a very worthy purchase for my collection for sure. So yeah, that's it for All About Clamp, and here's to the next one. These are the most recent Clamp art books in my collection, and the most recent art books to be released by them, Kuro and Shiro. As I'm aware, these are known as the definitive Clamp art books, and contain artwork that was featured in an exhibition at the National Art Center in Tokyo. It is a beautiful edition, and I have to say I was surprised that this got an English release, considering Clamp hasn't had a lot of recent works published besides Cardcaptor Sakura Clear Card. And to add to that, Gold just got announced by Kodansha for an English release as well, which seems to be a massive collective edition with all of the Shiro and Kuro artworks plus additional content, and a hard slipcase, I believe. I'm so excited to add that to the collection when it releases. So if you don't have Kuro and Shiro yet, and you're still on the fence about it, maybe wait until Gold gets released. Or buy all 3, like I will. But yeah, just like the others, I will show off some random artwork here. So the art book doesn't go in any particular order. The previous page was a piece from XXX Holic, and then this page here is from RG Veda. So it's really just kind of spread out. But this is the first picture I turned to that really caught my eye, so I wanted to show this one off for sure. I just wanted to turn to this page specifically because the art on the left is actually from Gate 7, which is actually their latest series, technically, that isn't based on a sequel. And these are actually the first art books I have that even contain Gate 7 artwork, because All About Clamp, I believe, came out before that was released. Here's some more Magic Knight Rayearth art that I love, love, love this picture. Also, I just love characters with swords in general, so all the action-oriented Rayearth pics are peak. Here's some artwork also from a more recent series, Cardcaptor Sakura Clear Card, which features a lot of steampunky clockwork motifs, which I appreciate very much so in the series. I didn't care too much for the series itself, but I did love the art. Can't wait for the Clear Card art book to come out sometime this century, hopefully. Gotta show off the gorgeous XXX Holic artwork. Especially love the use of blue on this picture on the right. Here's a clover piece to show off because I love the use of green in this picture. Another gorgeous clear card picture. Sorry, I'm super biased. Another motif they use a lot in the series is crystals, which is evident by the clear in clear card, focusing on the transparency. Here's one that seems to be focused on the color red, and also shows off two series I haven't shown yet, Tokyo Babylon and Angelic Layer. Actually one of my favorite Tsubasa pieces. And this final picture from Kuro, I'll show off Gate 7 again. Now let's flip over to Shiro. Love the use of pink in both of these pictures here. Here's another amazing Magic Knight Rayearth picture, but I also just wanted to show off another picture of something contained in something. Like this picture of the main character from Angelic Layer. Here's another RG Veda picture with an absolutely stunning use of the color green, which, if you couldn't tell by the name Midori, I love the color green, especially shades of dark green. One of my favorite Chobits pictures, and prominently displaying the twin motif in the series, which the light side, dark side gets a lot of usage in artwork. I know I keep showing off RG Veda, but oh my goodness, the use of contrasting colors in this picture is amazing. If there is an RG Veda art book, where is it and why do I not own it? Here's another twinning dark versus life motif picture featuring Tsubasa. Here's another amazing use of the red and black colors with Tokyo Babylon. And finally here, another grand use of the red and black colors. And these will be the last pages I show off from Shiro. I'd say if you're a Clamp fan, then these books are must-haves. I'd say if you're an art book fan, these books are must-haves. I would say if you want Kuro and Shiro, but you just haven't got around to getting them yet, and you don't really want all three of them, I would say wait for Gold's release. I believe it's due to come out in spring of 2027, so if you're willing to wait that long, I believe it'll definitely be worth it. So yeah, that's it for the Clamp art books, but I actually have just a couple more things to show off real quick. These aren't art books, but I figured this would be the best video to include them in, so here we are with Clamp no Kiseki. These were released as a set of 12 separate boxes, which included the books and 3 chess pieces featuring Clamp characters, the final set completing a full chess set. I did not buy these as a kid, and I honestly didn't know much about them until they were already way out of print. I don't mind not having the chess pieces, although I would like to get a hold of the Sakura one, but I plan on collecting all 12 books eventually. Luckily, I have the Cardcaptor Sakura book, and at least half of them complete. I actually haven't read through all these yet, but they are really neat and feature all of Clamp's main series, which is really only missing Gate 7 as it came out after these were released over 20 years ago. I'll flip through the Cardcaptor Sakura one since I already didn't include this in my Cardcaptor Sakura collection video. What a shame, as I honestly forgot. Some of the others feature multiple series in one book, since there's only so much content to go over. But of course, the Cardcaptor Sakura one needs a book by itself. So I'll go ahead and flip through that one real quick. Here's the starting page. It starts with an interview with Clamp into how Cardcaptor Sakura got started. Then goes through little tidbits about each volume up to volume 9. Character descriptions. And other little various things. A full page spread picture here. What I liked about this was the database, including all the main merch releases for Cardcaptor Sakura, which before this I never even realized there was a second edition release of Cardcaptor Sakura, so I'll need to add those to the collection someday. Another full page spread art. Here's an interview with someone involved with working with Clamp, Mr. Yoshiki Tanaka. And then the book rounds out here with just a short, silly little comic. And that's just a small glimpse into Clamp no Kiseki. Last here, I'm just going to show this what I heavily assumed to be a bootleg art book I got for really, really cheap some time ago. I didn't know what to expect, but this book is, not great. Most of the artwork is grainy and pixelated and also includes Cardcaptor Sakura animation artwork instead of actual clamp artwork. It's also very small, so the selection is over before you know it. Not much else to say, just a weird addition to the collection. Like, look at this picture here, for example. Like, it might be kind of hard to see, but you can tell the artwork just is not in high quality. But what's also weird about this book is that it has like a whole section on the X anime at the end. So this has to be a bootleg of a pre-existing book of some sort, but as to what it is, I just do not know. So that's it for my showing off my clamp art book collection. In the meantime, I hope you'll check out my other artwork videos, as I have plenty more to show off, especially my Magical Girl art book. But yeah, I think at this point I've already said enough, so I guess I'll go ahead and end it here. If you made it this far, I appreciate it, and thanks for sticking around. Hopefully you'll continue to watch my other art book videos. And if you were even a little bit interested in some of these, I would suggest you go out and buy them. So that's all I've got to say, so thanks for watching, and I hope to see you next time. Bye!